Yeah, Monday, my favorite.
I have a very Garfield approach to Monday, actually.
Well, guys, welcome back to my unboxing channel. Yeah, that's right. It's an unboxing channel. And what do we unbox on this channel? The truth, many say. Well, guys, I spend what we call a substantial amount of time on the internet. And one thing that I've learned is there's a war on men, bro. Okay? I can't do what I want ever. As you can tell from the graying and pale features of me, I am a young man. Who do I turn to know how to deal with this?
So, Jordan, obviously this new series, Dragons, Monsters, Men, the first one that we're doing together.
Oh, yeah.
This series is focused in on how men can be men.
Why
do you think there is such a crisis of masculinity in the first place? And why are there so many people out there who are angry at you for even talking to men?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think you could think about it as a consequence, in some sense, of the lack of a concept of original sin,
right.
Oddly enough.
That makes sense.
People bear an exile.
By the way, who are these people that pack these things to go see Geordie? I looked this up, and the average Geordie ticket is like $60. $60? $60 to see Geordie? Who are these people? Just to put that in perspective, this band here is coming to the town that I live in. $20. $20. But I will say, seeing Geordie up there, drone on about Jesus H. Christ knows what. Yes, that definitely looks 3 times as fun as whatever's going on in that.
There's an ideological drum that's being beaten constantly, both on the sociological constructivist front, right? That's the oppressive patriarchy, and then on the environmental front. And then you add to that the fact that, well, on the leftists, especially the radical types, their whole damn doctrine. It's the most pathological doctrine you could invent if you set out to invent a pathological doctrine. And
that's a big setup. Even your audience is laughing at that one. Let's hear it.
I mean that. I'm not making a joke. I really mean that in the deepest possible sense.
Yes, absolutely.
The notion that the fundamental human motivation is the willingness and ability to use compulsion, power.
Yes, wow.
It's all about power. And every time I hear that now from someone, I think, that is not a sociological observation. That is a confession on your part.
Wow.
And so
powerful.
And it's also,
ironically, that's a very powerful. All right, so as we're going to see, this might be some of my favorite Geordie material because he is just ratcheting up the crazy. he's hitting the crazy up to, we're talking 12. It's not even 11 anymore. So he's like, if you were going to create a pathology to be the worst pathology ever, you would create leftism, whatever that means, and environmentalism.
The expression of power within an intimate relationship does not produce intimacy or a relationship. The best it can produce is like a combination of tyranny and slavery, and that does not characterize the institution of marriage per se. So there is this insistence among the radicals that power is the fundamental motivation, and that's...
So let's just look at this. Let's just take what he just said seriously. All that stuff, let's just take it seriously. I want to learn something from this, okay? I'm trying to, as this video is called The Current Crisis of Masculinity, okay? So I'm just trying to learn. And what it sounded like he just said there, he started off with a political calculation, left versus right. And he's like, the left, and we'll come back to this, leftist and environmentalist, it's, if you wanted to... This is the ideology you would come to. This is the pathology you would come to if you were trying to create the worst kind of pathology, which is that they want power.
Well, on the leftists, especially the radical types, their whole damn doctrine is the most pathological doctrine you could invent if you set out to invent a pathological doctrine.
And so we start off with like political crap, left and right and environmentalists and all this crap. And then somewhere he switches to romantic relationships.
The expression of power within an intimate relationship does not produce intimacy or a relationship.
If you're in a romantic relationship or just a friendship where you're constantly struggling for some kind of quote unquote power, yeah, that's a shitty friendship or romantic relationship. But you weren't talking about that. You were talking about politics. You were talking about political struggle. So let's take a real world example of political struggle. Right now, we have one going on in the United States. Amazon, it's this place where I buy my little crap, hey. There's a lot of people who work at Amazon who feel like they don't have enough bargaining, quote unquote, power. And I would like to ask Jordy, you said that that's the most decrepit, putrid ideology, people trying to get power, political power, specifically the left, trying to get political power. So does that apply to people who work for these giant companies trying to get that kind of political? I mean, the answer is yes, but it's kind of cringe to just say that. I think people should shut their mouths and get back to work.
This video is brought to you by the new video course for men called Goblins, Warlocks, and Throwing Stars.
Carl Jung used to say this. Actually, Carl and Neil Jung used to say this, which is that men are the protectors of society. For example, I protect the Bangladeshi sex trafficking business that I started, and which I will show you how to start in this course, so you too can start a profitable business from home. If a man or a woman sees you drinking that water with that canned water with the skull on it, that you get at 7-Eleven, like the melting skull. If a man or woman sees you drinking that, you definitely gonna get that or that or preferably both, you know what I mean?
Get access to Goblins, Warlocks, and Throwing Stars now. No need to worry about the price. We accept PayPal, GoFundMe, Stripe, WordPress plugins, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, iPhone Pay, Wuhan Institute of Virology Pay, money orders.
It's wrong in every way. It's wrong theologically, it's wrong psychologically, it's wrong scientifically. Even chimpanzees who have a patriarchal social structure, their social structures, if they are based on power, on compulsion, they're unstable, and the alpha chimps who use power are very likely to meet an extraordinarily brutal and premature end.
The greatest. He is the greatest public intellectual of all time, because now he's basically saying, yeah, remember all that stuff I used to say? Remember all the other things I said?
Lobsters exist in hierarchies, and they have a nervous system attuned to the hierarchy. And that nervous system runs on serotonin, just like our nervous systems do.
Now he's like, when I'm talking about the opposite, when I'm talking about the people I don't like, struggling for power is actually really bad, and it destroys society. This is what I call the dualistic nature of grep that I say, okay? This is the dualistic nature of things that I be saying, okay? Is that sometimes I'll say a thing, and then it's like, when that's not convenient, I'll say the opposite thing, because this is what I call dualism. This is dualities, okay? And if you don't get it, you are, and I don't mean to, this is not personal, it's not to be offensive or mean, but you are a moron. And you should die, in Minecraft.
And what I see happening to young men in particular, boys as well, not just young men, and maybe even, maybe starting at the age of toddlers, is that we have this sense in the world that human beings live in antagonism to nature and that we're actually a malevolent force. And that our social structures, which are clearly capable of the commission of atrocity, are fundamentally oppressive, patriarchal in their nature. And so then if you're a male in a society with that ethos,
right,
the motive force that drives you into the world to live is associated with rapaciousness and despoliation on the natural front, and then oppression and atrocity on the social front. It's like, well, then if you're the least bit conscientious, because this sort of accusation hurts conscientious young men the most, then the best you can do is, well, let's say castrate yourself. How would that be? And that would be real comical, except that it's also happening.
Yeah, so that message pretty much checks out. All that checks out. And to just give you the abridged version of what he just said, literally, that men are feeling pretty bad in our society because people say men are bad. That's one. And because we're told that people are destroying the environment. which is a theme that keeps coming back. Weird. And so they're turning trans. I've thought about it before. I have a really hard day at work. They're like, you idiot. You piece of shit. You put the file in the wrong crap. I'm like, I'm turning trans. I'm turning trans now. I tend to, this is sort of a style choice. This is sort of a vibe choice for me, is I tend not to throw my sort of candy wrappers, my Snickers, my Twix, my whatchamacallit wrappers, and my bottles, in my Red Bull cans. I tend not to want to take the extra time to find a trash for them. So I just kind of put them in, what I call, put them back to the environment. I do this thing I call bringing them back to the land, okay? Which is I throw them out my car window, right? And somebody's like, hey, don't do that, you idiot. And I go, I'm trans. I'm trans now. Okay, so we're talking about the crisis of masculinity. Men. These men, bro, we're talking about the crisis of masculinity. And Jordan Peterson, really interestingly, keeps bringing up the environment and any sort of environmentalism, any sort of concern about the environment. Again and again.
Who's an expert in planetary sustainability?
I am.
No one.
Oh, geez.
It's too complicated. And that's why we have a decentralized, free market economy. Oh, captains of industry.
Calm down. This is the genius of Jordy. He is the great performance artist of our time. Marina Abramovich or whatever, she really has nothing on Jordy. Jordy's the greatest because he was just talking about pathology. He's talking about the problems here, in this. Another way to, many psychologists and analysts, they call it doing this. So he's talking about the worst kind of psychopathology is, at least in part, environmentalism, he said. Now he's going on and on about how, I guess even talking about the environment is wrong because then somebody will feel bad. At the same time, this guy just signed, and I don't know the details of how much money he made, but it's probably in the millions, a millions of dollars contract with a company that's run by an oil billionaire.
Goblins, Warlocks, and Throwing Stars.
As men, we need role models, right? I say right a lot, like, just I'll say it for you. Men need role models, right? I'm not really asking you, right? I'm saying right for it, like you're the one saying right. So, but men need role models, right? There's so many great role models out there, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, John Cena, Macho Man Randy Savage, The Undertaker, the B guy from Telemundo, Warren Buffett, O.J. Simpson, Johnny Depp, the 1986 Mets, that guy who assassinated that Japanese guy with a hairdryer or whatever. Also, I love these high chairs, bro. The high chair bros, they call these two guys. Hey, with the high chair bros, you look up, you have to crink your neck up to look at them. They're up there. Hey, we're climbing. They climb, it's like a lifeguard stand. They climb. Hey, we're going to do our talk. Climbing. Hey, we'll get up there soon.
We are in the midst of a culture war.
Oh, boy.
Although it started in the universities.
Yes, it did.
Particularly in France.
Oof.
Through the open portal of the damnable Yale.
Oh, here we go with the attitude.
And even worse than the dreadful HR/DIE combination, perhaps, if that is even possible, is the new corporate and government craze for environment, social, and governance dicta, so-called ESGs. As every idiot fad needs an oh-so-in-the-know acronym.
What is this attitude? What is this little attitude? We live in a society.
As every idiot fad needs an oh-so-in-the-know acronym.
Drop the attitude, Jordy. Jordy's going to teach us how to be real men, as always. But I always get the feeling watching Jordy, especially when he gets into this, you were at you, don't tell me what to do. When he gets into that kind of stuff, I really, honestly, I'm not even lying. I get the feeling it takes me back to, I don't know, 2nd, 3rd grade or something, when a new school year was starting. And I was like, you know what? This school year is going to be different. I'm not going to be a loser and an unlikable little turd anymore. I'm going to be a cool badass this year. And my way of being a badass was I learned the term beeswax, mind your own beeswax. And I'm like, I'm going to be the beeswax guy. So, first day of school, I march up to some girl and I'm like, hey, mind your own beeswax. And she rolled her eyes at me and I said, okay, that one's not going to work. You think, like that kind of, he's just trying out some new crap, So Jordy's really been pumping out some amazing content. I mean, we gotta hand it to old Jordy. He's sticking around. He's not going anywhere, Jordy. And he's been pumping out some amazing content. This one has 388,000 views in like 3 days. 2 days. And it's called Message to CEOs. Message to CEOs. And remember what he was talking about? Part of what makes men having a hard time, Everybody is, where is it?
Take a doo-doo pie.
They're saying to men,
Take a doo-doo pie.
And part of what's making men's lives so hard is that people are saying, you're ruining the environment, you man. And what he's saying in this video is, hey, CEOs, you shouldn't think about the environment. All this talk about the environment is bad.
As one set of corporate consulting half-wits and moral posturers
Whoa!
put it,
Jeez.
quote, investors are increasingly applying these non-financial factors as part of their analysis process to
non-financial factors, okay. Where are you going with this, Jordy?
identify material risks and growth opportunities. ESG metrics are not commonly part of mandatory financial reporting,
right?
Though companies are increasingly making disclosures in their annual
drop the attitude, man. Okay, go ahead.
report or in a standalone sustainability report.
Okay. In other words,
These separate.
let me see if I can do the attitude.
These separate reports are non-financial. Ooh. That include things like sustainability. How stupid. How rude.
To quote Michelle Tanner she's from Full House. Getting a very clear message here from Jordy that environmentalism is bad.
Non-financial factors
Uh-oh.
applied to identify material risks,
Right.
standalone sustainability reports,
Right, like when a company does pollution, yeah, that's a problem. Yeah, that's an issue. Okay, what's the problem?
identify material risks, standalone sustainability reports. All this smacks of central planning.
Oh, it's a communist. It's communist. By the way, Walmart does central planning, but yeah, it's communist.
Any accounting for the environment is communist.
By the way, just a full disclosure, I get this from a company that's completely tied to the fossil fuel industry, but
It's not. I'm saying this because I want to.
Is given. Of him shall be much required.
Whoa.
And to whom men have committed much, of him they will ask the more.
Wow.
What does this mean?
I'm wondering that too.
It means, as the rest of the Sermon on the Mount insists,
Yep.
that the way to pay for privilege
Yes.
is by doing the good that is commensurate with that privilege.
Oh,
and
right.
This is the way out of the guilt, CEOs.
Right, charity.
That makes you such easy targets for the demented and satanic moralizing of
Whoa!
the accuser.
Satanic, bro. Whoa, jeez, dude. Bringing the dev into this, bro? You bringing that red dev into this, bro? So yeah, this is a pretty radical message about how to be a masculine, oiled, muscly, strong, tough guy man from Jordy Peterson here.
This is radical, bro, even for me.
This is pretty radical. And the message is business is more important than the environment. And don't rock the boat too much for what's already going on. It's a very powerful, persuasive message that I cannot deny.
This is radical, bro, even for me.
I guess maybe the real message is, if you want to be a man, the way to be a man, okay, in our modern society is not to like stand up for something bigger than yourself. The way to be a man is, what's the way I can make a lot of money with not a lot of ethics? What's the way that I can make a lot of lazy money with not a lot of morality? You know, another motherfucker I'd be going to for advice on how to be more manly is a fella, I call him, goes by the name of Joseph James Rogan. I don't know if that's his middle name. I made that up.
When there's an abundance of people, like in urban situations, people are much less likely to have children. Do you know that that's the argument for underpopulation, right? Population collapse. This is why Elon keeps having kids. Like the population collapse.
Even Andrew Schultz is like, wait a second.
He's not single-handedly trying to like bring the population back.
But he literally is. Like he's having a bunch of kids.
Joe's gonna die on this hill, bro. I love it. I love it.
That's in the Bible.
And Jesus came down and he said, and Jesus came down and he said, I will give a weird, scammy man who wants his stock price to be as high as possible to repopulate the earth.
Kids.
He's having 10 kids.
But he's having them
It's nothing.
he's doing it with surrogates. It's not like he's just shooting loads into people. Like he's making embryos and in vitro fertilization. It's like he's doing wild shit.
That is the dorkiest way to have
make
kids.
people. But he's trying to do that.
Yeah,
he's
but
trying to
leave
make
a
a lot of
load in,
people.
dude. Like, if you're going to do the act, if you're going to be with the person, you might as well enjoy it.
But I think genuinely he wants to make as many people as he can. Genuinely. That's why he's like saving embryos and doing in vitro fertilization. Like he's genuinely trying to contribute to the population. He thinks that population collapse is a real issue. If you talk to him about it, he has a compelling argument about it.
I like to hear
it. There's a compelling argument that relates
I think it's
to
a primal breeding fetish. I'll be honest with you.
the
Elon
reason why
is a
male
coyote.
dolphins. No, he's just logical. He thinks like math.
Yeah.
You know, he's like looking at this like, oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
Like he's like seeing it in terms of like 100-year curve. It's like we need a lot of people. Like people are gonna stop breeding, and there's gonna be a big fall off.
Okay, you were saying with dolphins though.
And I do hope that Joe's right, that Elon is going to repopulate the earth. Elon's going to help repopulate the earth. Totally. Like it's just all a bunch of Elons, just a bunch of people trying to sell each other crypto scams and convince each other that their stock price is where it should be. Don't forget, Elon Musk owns that company.
Uber cars.
This is why I don't think Joe's a bad guy. People are like, oh, he said this. He's a piece of shit or whatever. Joe is just like, he's just trying to figure things out. And to him, Elon Musk seems smart. And he's like, well, Elon Musk probably knows what he's talking about. You know, instead of like, for example, what actually works to have people have more kids, if you look at other countries, is provide benefits for them having more kids. That's illogical. Have a goofy, wacky Twitter guy who dated Grimes for a while. He will fix that. He will individually fix that problem.
How do they know if they feel like a woman?
Bro, I don't fucking know.
Have you seen the documentary What is a Woman?
Yeah.
It's my favorite documentary.
No. Have you seen it?
No, you told me about it.
You got to watch it.
It's
It's wild.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Matt Walsh,
Right.
who's this right-wing guy.
With the beard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he has the best deadpan in the fucking business. Because all he's doing with these people is asking questions.
That's really weird.
Because all he's doing with these people is asking questions.
Yeah.
He's not making assumptions. He's not being confrontational.
No.
He's just letting them say
Poke holes in their argument.
stuff. And it's fucking crazy.
So yeah, Joe's kind of my guru. I like to a sensei, more of a sensei. That's how I think of Joe Rogan, and I think that men are men, women are women. Okay, men are men, women are women, and Elon Musk is going to repopulate the planet. I think I get it. I think I get it. Okay. Well, guys, it's Monday. You know what that means. Actually, you know what? It's Monday, but still.
You know what? It's Monday, but still.
Uber cars. Uber cars.
Still do Uber cars. I hope y'all are having a good Monday. If you're not, well, drop the attitude. Hope you're having a good time. Hope you're having a good Monday, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye. Hey guys, you're only getting a fraction of the weekly shows. If you want a new motherfucking episode every day, subscribe on Patreon for as little as 2 bones. You get the patron-only Tuesday and Thursday shows, the Bookablega show where we look at important books, and the goddamn weekly behind-the-scenes show. And for only 25 bones, you could become a producer and get your name up here. Look at these people. These people make this show possible. If it wasn't for them, nothing. We don't have a show. We got nothing, and it's garbage. And we have to just leave. We have to just basically walk away, and we don't even really know where we're walking. That's the truly troubling part about all this. But please, become a patron today for as little as 2 bones, or 5 bones is another level, or 10, or you go the full 25 and you get up here. Big special thanks to these people. Love you guys. Love you guys so much.